Hello there, my dear. I am excited to come to you today with an oracle card reading that is connected to the main channel message, which I will have linked here for you to check out if you would like. And just a reminder, the main title of that message was Community is the lifeblood of everything. Um, and I always say that the channel message tends to be a little bit more general at times. And then when we get to the cards, sometimes there's a little more specificity. Um, So we're gonna get started today with a deck called Trust Your Vibes. It's just calling to me by Sonia Choquette. Let me tell you, these cards are like beautifully illustrated and just feel like magic. And it's like, yes, I was called to them for some reason. Um, and so we're gonna get started here. I'm saying there are gonna be two cards from this deck, and then there's a deck by Rebecca Campbell, Work Your Light. Uh, But I will also pull, they're saying like two cards. So here we go. Hmm. Set healthy limits and boundaries. Ooh, ooh, ooh. So sometimes I like to just give y'all a moment with a card because that's what I love about oracle cards. Each of them has an image, but you need to take a minute because there's like so many layers to the image, and there might be symbols and other things for some of you here. Hmm. They're saying like if community is the garden of your life, then how are you tending to it? How are you weeding? How are you like doing the work to make sure that that garden is as like thriving and like flourishing as it's meant to in your life? And they're saying like this is an adequate metaphor for community because you have to do your part and then you have to also like wait for like the divine to do its part, right? And maybe for other people to help you with the garden if you have that, right? So, and they say that mainly because you have to wait for sometimes rain, right? Or consider rain in the way that you tend to the garden. Um, and they're saying this vision of the garden has quite a few different flowers in it. And they're saying, right, like the sun also affects the garden and how often it's out, right? Also will impact what you tend to in the garden at what time, when you can expect it to bloom, when it won't. And they're like, are you taking all these little facets into account as you explore and consider like your communities, the various communities that you're a part of right now, right? Because they're saying like some communities have recently been touched by loss and by grief, like hard. And so are you remembering, like right now, there isn't a lot of sun for that community. It just needs a little bit of time till the sun comes back up again, right? They're saying some communities have not been tended to in a minute. There's a lot of weeds up in there, flowers that have bloomed and now died. And now there's some work to be done by everyone in the community, as well as you, as to like what are we doing here? Like what makes this a really yummy, wonderful, thriving uh place and space for us to be together as a community. Um, and there's some communities trying to do the mostest. They're like, there's a whole lot of flowers up in there, flowers that don't even bloom at the time of year that they're set for. Like everybody trying to do the mostest. The mostest, and they're like, they said, say the mostest three times. The mostest, the mostest, the mostest. Like some communities want to do it all. And they're like, they're reminding you. You get to decide if you want to do it all. If there are going to be seasons to which you decide to join that community, because you enjoy or appreciate one facet more than another. They're like choice, choice, choice. You get to decide. And they're like, are you actually deciding? Have you set the limit to which this sort of infuses your life and impacts like other facets of it? And they're like, we're not going to harp on boundaries because everybody wants to place a boundary, but they don't even know for what reason they're placing it. When in actuality, what you need to get clear on is like, what part of you is being fulfilled by being a part of this community? And is that still being fulfilled? Or is there a new way of being fulfilled that's coming through? Because they're also sharing that. They're like, ooh, there might be an opening for something new or different as it relates to that community. And so the question is, are you going to allow that opening to unfurl for you? They're saying they want me to return to the idea of like community, communities, communities. If your communities that you're a part of were gardens, what tending to do they require? And they're reminding you of what came up in the last message. How well resourced do you have to be to do the work in the garden and the community? And have you done all of that? Second card. Hmm. Do what you love. They're saying some of you have lost love for some of the communities you're a part of. So are you gonna like tend to it, try to grow it again in some way? Or do you have to release it? Right? They're saying this is the image of a butterfly. Sometimes you've outgrown that community. And they're saying we're not coming from some like taboo way of saying like, oh, if people can't keep up with you, you shouldn't stay. It's like, no. Like they have me roll my eyes as I as I do. Um, and this is not about, they're saying like evolving, moving past them. It's just about finding love again. Is there love there? They're like, because for you, the love might be in other spaces within the community that you've forgotten about. They're saying it might be found in the love of the people that you have there. It might be found in the love of what it is you do together. Like maybe you're still passionate about it. Um, and they're saying sometimes the love can also be like a seasonal love. They're like, it could be like, oh, this community makes you feel real good at this time of year because that activates love in you. And so now the question is, how do you maintain that love throughout the year and not just the season? All right. They're saying the last two cards from Worth Your Light. Um, they want me to read. I think they want me to read one of them. They say I'll know which one when I pull it. Um, they're saying like the hmm, interesting. Receiving a lot more guidance today for these cards than I had before, which is why you're seeing me like. They're saying both of these cards are action cards. So when you look at them, they want you to consider what action are you being asked to take in the context of the communities in your life. And they're saying action could be taking a moment to be still. That is still action because you have to move a lot of things around to make that happen. So here we go. First card. Answer the call. What is your soul calling you to do? Mm, yeah. Yeah, my heart tugged a little as I kept taking in the card. And they're saying that's because their soul is calling them to do certain things for certain communities that isn't going to be easy for them. But they know what that thing is because their soul has been pulling at them to do it. And what they have to remember is that like the soul is asking them to do it in this moment. And then something's going to happen, the community will respond. And then the next question is, what's going to be the next action? Because action begets action. But you also have to be open to like perhaps the action you took when you answered your soul's calling was supposed to bring forth the next thing you're supposed to respond to. And it wasn't what you expected. And now you get to reconsider, oh, how do I want to act in regards to that? So I think like sometimes we're like very human, like say no, say no, say no, say no, say no. They're saying like at some point you could say no, and then you have to hear the other person's response and be like, am I gonna keep saying no? For some of us, the lesson is yes, we gotta keep saying no. And for some of us, it's like, oh, they came back with something interesting. I have to think about that. Maybe my answer isn't no, maybe it's not yet. And there's probably because there's a whole pile of stuff going on in my life. And I can't say yes in the way I want to now, but maybe what I can say is like maybe. They're saying be open to whatever, whatever you act on based on your soul's calling, be open to what happens after that. Because that's what's going to activate something in you as it relates to your relationship to that community. Oh, 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 the crumbling. I said, oh, 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 because it's, what are you clinging on to? Mm, 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 mm. They're saying the action here is to let go. And to you, you're imagining, that means I must let go of the community. And they're like, no, get real with yourself. Some of y'all ain't leaving these communities. So what is it that you're really being asked to let go of? And this isn't because you need to stay in some communities, even if they're unhealthy for you, but it's just to show you, like, sometimes we don't get to choose um, the communities we're a part of. We're like given them, right? And so you're not going to leave. But what is it that you're holding on to that you're attaching to the community that needs to be shifted and changed so that you can be open to what's actually unfolding? Because what I love about this card is it's called the crumbling, right? But it's just a portal. It's just a threshold. But you cannot enter the threshold and into a new way of who you are and what you're meant to be by continuing to hold on to communities in the way that you have been already. They said mic drop, nothing else. Let me see if there's any other messages. You're saying no, we are complete. Let me know in the chat. I mean, I always say the chat because I'm used to live things. Let me know in the comments below what resonated for you, what came up for you, and let me witness you. Like, what new action are you calling? You feel like you're being called to take from these two cards. What is it you must release yourself of? Because they're also saying like beyond the place from where you are right now, when you finally release whatever you have set and attached to this community, on the other end is like absolute freedom. They're saying also on the other end is actually like a community that is fulfilling and holds you and sees you and loves you in ways that you've been asking for. But until you release the expectations that you've placed on certain communities, you can't open yourself up to it because you're just holding on too tight, too tight, too tight, right? So you gotta let it go. And I know sometimes we believe like letting it go is just like one moment in time. And what they're saying is like, no, that's why you have to take an action and then keep listening to what unfolds after it. Because you're going to have to keep taking action to continue letting go of something, right? We can do it in ceremony, we can do it in ritual. And then we have to go live life every day and we have to keep letting it go, right? And I think that's like the freaking magic of the work that I love to do with people is that it's not just like one moment in time. It's like, shit, how does it feel 2 weeks later? How does it feel a month later? What have you learned thus far? What is it that your guides are continuing to reveal to you in small messages as you've made this decision? Because they're saying it's the decisions and the choices that become actions that then allow you to walk through the threshold. Sometimes you have to decide and choose to release it. And then you got to figure out, well, what does it mean to release it? Like, how do I walk every day releasing the expectations that have been placed on me as a daughter, as a mother? What are the new choices I make? Ooh, my heart. Just like all tizzy, tizzy, type, type. And that's where the work gets done. It's in the deciding and then the continual unfolding of your life as you remake it in a new way and still being in communion with that sense of community you're desiring. They're sharing one lesson. There's like some communities, I'm hesitating to share this, but they're saying some communities don't exist forever. Sometimes they're like a moment in time that give you exactly what you need at that moment in time so that you can be where you need to be. They're like, so it's okay It's okay. Part of the process of deciding that the community no longer serves you in ways that you desired it to is for you to grieve its loss. And that they're saying like that's also the work. And they're saying your heart hurts when you hear that. And they're saying, but you know how to tend to yourself in healthy ways and caring ways. And they want to remind you, you have people in your life who can help you through the grief and the loss, even as though they don't understand what you're grieving or losing, right? They're like, they may not understand it, but they love you. They want to see you well. And so it's your job to have them help you in the way that they're meant to. And for you to make it clear to them what you want help with. Sometimes we don't need someone necessarily to tell us how amazing we are or that everything's going to be okay. Sometimes we just need to hear them, like have them hear us cry and the loss of something because they just have no idea. But like just having them there means like the world. And they're saying if you need a community to navigate the loss of one community, like you know where to go. Like there are spaces for that kind of grieving and that you just have to ask for it. All right, my dears, I will see you in the next reading. I hope this was supportive to your heart. And my throat is sort of tying up here, mainly because I want to send you a lot of blessings on this journey, navigating the path of being in right alignment with the communities that you're meant to be part of. It's like a beautiful, and they're saying like lifelong work um, that feeds your soul in ways you cannot imagine. And so I'll see you in the next video, my dear.